My name is Agata. I am 30. I've got two kids aged 7 and 4. So I suppose based on that, it's quite busy on an everyday, quite hectic. And I am a stay-at-home mum for the most part. I mean, for me, it was hectic. Like, you mentioned there with the health. I was personally diagnosed with fibromyalgia at the start of this year. And that has its own, obviously, struggles, especially like with, working out and going to the gym. And I also have another health condition, which is like inflammation of the fat tissues under your skin. So there has been a lot of difficult time, where I felt like I literally couldn't work out and stuff like that. And that was difficult. But I suppose working alongside Eve, especially, like she was so good to kind of, tailor the program to my needs. And, like even when there was times I couldn't train in the gym, we were able to kind of, carry on with the dieting phase and getting the steps in and kind of focusing on, my idea was like, if everything is just go, go, go. But Eve had actually tailored everything really well to make sure like my body wasn't in inflammation. She didn't care about the numbers on the scales. It was more kind of looking at what the body actually needs, and we took kind of a completely different approach to it. And she's really good at keeping you calm when those things happen as well. And the fact that I suppose I was able to control the inflammation in my body, and kind of trust her with what she has to say, it really helped along the way as well. And before that, like I remember, before I started, I found it really difficult to even like look into the mirror to leave the house. It was not something I wanted to do, like whether it was, family holidays, kids' birthday parties. And now I feel like, my confidence has definitely grown a lot. Even starting looking back, like I remember being afraid to go to the gym and like always looking for somebody to come to the gym with you, like, and kind of, who's going, or picking a time, who's going to be there. And now it's kind of like, I don't care how busy it's in the gym. If I have to fight people over machines or weights, I'll do it, like, So it's been a massive, I suppose, turnaround and kind of like in all that aspect, and gaining the discipline and really kind of getting on and doing stuff when I didn't want to do it, or even when I felt I couldn't do it, still kind of showing up in different ways. It was really, really daunting. And I suppose like I felt like I was really stuck, and I thought I could just give up, like I thought there was no way out. Like I remember at one point, like I just thought I'm never going to be able to get to a certain level of, physical fitness again. Also having two small kids, life is very active and I really struggled to keep up with them. And, I just kind of felt like you were always in a rush, like, you might lose a stone, and eventually I just chucked out the weighing scales, and really like I didn't know how to portion control. Like, I thought I was eating healthy, but obviously like not knowing what a healthy amount of food is, and like not being able to kind of keep up with your own children and stuff, that was an awful side of it. Just thinking about it, I just felt really, really stuck and felt there was no way out. And even like I remember when I lost my first 10 kg, like stepping on the scales, and at the time I was actually doing the sessions with Tommy as well, and for a really long time I had dropped maybe kind of 2 clothes sizes, and I just refused to throw out the clothes. They were literally sat in a bag because I kept thinking, what if I need them again? Kind of not. It was kind of long for me, I suppose, to accept that no, this is actually my life now and I'm going in the right direction, and eventually let go of kind of the old stuff. So yeah, it's been a real experience. I suppose just more than anything, having the accountability. I suppose what was the face group, we have the WhatsApp group now, and the weekly post, and listening to Matt's podcast every week, and there's always something quite inspiring in there, and there's definitely a lesson to be learned. And I just think like it's different when you're like, okay, I'm going to do such and such next week, but when you're part of a community and a group, and you've just told everybody you're going to do such and such, it's absolutely very different. And you feel like you have to kind of keep up with it, like you've told everybody you're going to do it, so there's no backing out now. And really, I suppose the support, not just from all the coaches and Matt and Eve, but the whole group in general, has just been absolutely amazing. Now, I mean, like I'm very, I would say, confident and comfortable walking into the gym. Not to say like that I know how to use every machine or every piece of equipment, but I'm not scared to try it anymore, which is the big thing. And like even if there was something new, I'd watch somebody else kind of trying to use it, or I would just go over and give it a try, or maybe take a picture and send it on to Eve and kind of say, come here, what's this for? I want to try it out. But definitely that fear of me is gone. Like, and I suppose there used to be a big aspect of it, like kind of the fear of everybody's looking at you in there, and really like everybody's just in there to do their own thing. Like, everybody has a goal, everybody has a purpose. And I can see that a lot better now, obviously. And it's just, I suppose just not being afraid to try things anymore and saying yes to things more often. Like obviously the fitness side, and then the side with Tommy, I'd say like I would have joined the Mac Future Fitness group probably a year ago now, or close to it. And I'd say 80% of the time that I was there, I would have spent working alongside Tommy doing weekly sessions. And being honest, at the very start, I hated it. Like I felt like running away. I felt like Tommy, I'm not showing up today. But it's nearly more important than the actual physical and dieting side of it. Because I mean, you can train your body in the gym, you can kind of, learn how to eat better. But unless you're willing to put in the work in your mind, it's not going to change. And obviously, like I've lost over 30 kg since joining the Mac Future Fitness group. And I feel like if I hadn't worked alongside Tommy, I'd never be able to look in the mirror and notice the changes, like kind of getting used to a new reflection and things like that. So I would say probably working with Tommy is one of the biggest kind of parts of the group as well. And kind of, he doesn't just do obviously diet and kind of fitness. He goes into everything that goes on in your life and kind of any troubles that you might be having. And he's very good. Like I suppose I had tried therapy before, and what kind of made a massive difference with Tommy was he gives you actual coping techniques and how to use them and kind of put them into practice. Like it's not like, you're going into somewhere and they're kind of like, okay, this is what you do, off you go. He's very good at like giving you the tools and actually practicing them with you and showing you how to correctly, kind of use them. And even after your sessions, like he checks in with you and says, how did you get on with that? How's your week going? Like, and how did such and such go for you that we talked about? So yeah, I think I'm really, really glad I did them, and it's made a massive difference as well. I used to always think, I can't eat that, or there's a bad food, or I can't have that. And really, like when you learn about it and how it works, like there's nothing you can't eat. Like, obviously can't sit down and eat, a chipper every night. But I mean, like if you want to have a chocolate bar or you want to have a packet of crisps, you just count that into your calories. Or, if you have something coming up the weekend, or you want to go for a brunch, kind of, stacking a few calories during the week, kind of putting them away for something special, kind of, so before that, I suppose I would have just been like doing a week, been completely burnt out because I'm like, I actually really like this, I can't eat it anymore, and it would just really kind of frustrate me more than anything. So obviously kind of learning how calories and macros and stuff work, and knowing what foods you can have, and that it is kind of every food that you can have in moderation. It's made a massive difference, because obviously when you don't have to cut something out that you like, you're more likely to kind of stick it out for the long haul. So first of all, the amount of weight I have lost is 30 kg since joining, and that was about a year ago. And obviously like with that, the clothes changes and stuff, but I think like it's the confidence as well. Like I remember, probably this time last year when I joined and people doing the photo shoot, and I thought, Jesus, I could never do that. Like, and here I am today taking part in the photo shoot, and like that, the build up of it's a bit like I didn't know what to expect, but everything's been just absolutely amazing, and everybody has been so supportive. And it's not something I would have, probably done before, but like that, the confidence from, obviously the weight loss and the support of everybody has just massively grown. And I'm kind of more even like inclined to try new stuff. So even like between kind of, I suppose, doing this and working with Tommy, like, I remember saying to Tommy in one of my sessions, I've always been mad to try kickboxing. And I said to him, he's like, how long have you wanted to do it for? And I said, oh God, I don't know, probably close to 10 years. And I just hadn't done it. And I joined about 3 months ago now. And I don't think I say, no, sorry, I probably missed 1 or 2 classes with kind of, prep and stuff. But I mean, other than that, like I wouldn't miss it for the world. And just to think like, how silly was I to like, leave it off for so long because I didn't have the confidence. And it's just something that I really, really enjoy now. So yeah, that's kind of another thing that I've gained from it, that I wouldn't, to trying the new stuff. It's just a massive difference. Like even, like the other day I was kind of looking back at the pictures and where I started, and it's just so hard to believe, like, and if somebody had said to me that, this time next year you're going to look like this, not $1 million would I have imagined that I, have so many kind of differences and so much of a change made. And even doing the photo shoot, I think is just brilliant as a lead up to the wedding, because I would have been the kind of person like, I don't like cameras on me, I don't like people looking at me, which is very hard to get away from when you're getting married. So I think like, it's nice to kind of come in and get used to kind of, having your pictures taken and kind of having that vibe with it, and kind of being in a busy environment with people. I would just say try it. And like any kind of friends or family that I have that have kind of been stuck in weight loss or anything like that, I've always just said to just send Matt a message, get straight in touch. I mean, I remember the first message Matt ever sent me, and I was kind of like, oh, like what are we doing, will we not? But it's by far one of the best things I've done in my whole life, and I just couldn't recommend it enough to anybody. I don't think like you can actually go and achieve this on your own. I think you need the community and the support from absolutely everybody, and I just think it's so important. And I would say to anybody that's at home kind of sitting there, should I do this? Don't think about it, just jump straight in. And time is passing anyway, so put it into something that's really good.